All right, guys, so as you can see, I'm at the dairy farm today. So it's been a little while since I posted a video, so I thought I'd answer a very popular question, and that is, what do farmers do in the winter? So it's kind of a difficult question, and I'm gonna try my best to answer that in this video. So today I am milking, as you can probably see. So I'm not going to be going too in depth about the actual milking process because I did already make a video about that, and I'll post that somewhere up there. But I will be showing you guys a little bit of the process, especially what it's like to milk in the winter, because it is just a little bit different, not by much, but just thought I'd kind of talk about that a little bit. So I got the vacuum started, so there's pressure in all the lines. So I'm gonna get everything on here and get started quick. So the first thing I got is put on my seat. This is what I sit down on when I go to milk cows. And I got my holder over here, if you guys can see that, for my spray bottle. I also have my little belt thing to hold all my towels for wiping the cows. Now, one difference obviously about winter is it's cold. So you always want to be dressed for the cold, but it's also kind of hard sometimes because you still got to be able to milk the cows. So you can't really wear gloves because you have to be able to strip the teat. So you kind of just have to go without. I found that a vest works the best for me because my hands and arms are free to move around pretty easily, so I can work with the cows best. But I'm sure it's pretty different for everybody else on what they do. Now, if you guys have watched my last milking video, you may notice something a little different. We did get new hoses for our units. Our other ones were getting a little older and they were kind of starting to fade out. So, got new hoses for everything. And yeah, they're really nice to work with. All right, all the units are on. We have 5 units. This is a 50 stall stanchion barn, so 25 on each side. There are not 50 cows in here right now. I believe there's 46 right now, and there's, I believe, 5 dry cows, so we're only milking about 43-ish. Depends on the day on how many we're milking, whether there's a new dry cow or if we sell a cow or get a heifer in here. Just kind of depends. So getting back to the main question of what farmers do in the winter. And like I said, it's a very complicated question and it varies between different farmers and different kind of farmers. So as a grain farmer myself, there really isn't a whole lot you do in the winter. There's a lot of kind of behind the scenes, I like to call it, that grain farmers do in the winter. And most of that is just financial stuff, just kind of figuring out exactly how the year went and planning for the upcoming year. So as many of you guys may know, I have been running my own field the past year, and I'm gonna be running that again this year. And so me personally, right now I am going to be looking for inputs for this coming crop season. So because I'm planting beans on that field, there isn't a ton that we need to figure out. The biggest two factors is seed and chemical. There's a little bit of fertilizer that's worked in there too, but those are pretty much the main three, I guess, inputs that we need to figure out. So other than that, as a grain farmer, there isn't a ton we do in the winter. So now I thought I'd answer a probably pretty important question that I know a lot of you are gonna have. And that is, what do the cows think of the cold? A lot of you probably think that they're very miserable in this cold and they don't like it. And that is not true. The cows actually love the cold. They usually have a pretty good increase in milk productivity. They milk a lot better in the winter. They like the cold. They're happy in the cold. They do better in the cold. The problem with that is water lines do not do good in cold. So each cow, well, I guess for 2 cows, there is one water line with the watering trough there, and those will freeze, and they'll freeze pretty easily too. So we do have to keep this barn pretty maintained on how warm or cold it gets in here. So when it gets too cold, you'll see behind me that big door there. We can shut that, and if it's below 30 degrees, we usually have that shut. Right now it is 32 degrees, so we're pretty much fine. You'll also notice 3 barn fans spaced evenly throughout the barn. We usually keep those 2 on pretty much all winter, and then that one kind of depends. That motor is getting a little rough, so we usually don't like to run that one much. But when that door is closed, we'll always have a fan running, or pretty much in general we always have a fan running. In that corner of the barn, there are 2 very large barn fans, and we generally don't have those running at all in the winter, unless if it gets above 40 degrees. Otherwise, there's just too much airflow through here and things get pretty cold. so I'm done with milking now, and I'm gonna feed the calves now. So right now we only have one calf, so this job really isn't that big of a deal. Or I should say it doesn't take as long. So you can see the only real difference that we have with calves is we put a coat on them. Generally, calves are just fine, just like the full-grown ones are. They generally like the cold, and it doesn't really bother them much. So we got 3 stalls out here, if you can see, but we only have one calf right now. So over in the main part of the barn, you can see we also got calves over here. These ones we are not feeding the formula to. We are only feeding hay, little bit of silage, not really much of anything of that though. And then grain and protein, which you'll see in a second. My next job is to scrape the alleys. So the silage that we have down over here, I'm basically just gonna scrape in a little further so the cows can reach it a little better, and so I can get through with the feed carts. Alright, so everything is scraped. And now the next job will kind of lead me into what dairy farmers do during the winter. Generally, as a dairy farmer, this will vary quite a bit based off of what kind of dairy farm you have and just what kind of dairy farm you're running. So for us, at least this farm I should say, it is pretty similar to grain farmers this time of year. We're kind of figuring out how the year went and planning for the upcoming growing season. But obviously there are more to that with the dairy. There are cows to tend to. Now for this farm, there generally isn't that much to do just because there isn't that many cows. But for especially the milking cows, there's a good amount of chores that need to be done, and a couple of them here you'll see in a second. Now this bin is empty, but you can kind of see what was in it. So this is what we call the grain. It's mostly just ground up corn. There's a few other things in there too, like some minerals and stuff. Then this is our protein. Pretty much just ground up soybeans, but again there's some other vitamins and minerals ground down in here. So these 2 different feeds are fed to the cows twice a day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, which you'll see in a minute. And then every morning you'll see we also feed silage. So this is just chopped up corn. So it's the whole stalk, the ear, the kernel, everything, all chopped into one feed. So that's fed every morning. And then there's also other jobs in the morning mostly, which consists of bedding all the stalls for the cows. That's done every single day. And then you'll see those pits along both sides there. Those are cleaned out, and the manure is then spread on different fields. So in general, the main thing that dairy farmers are doing are just simply chores. It's things that are done every single day, all year around, no matter what. So I believe he just ground down some feed for us. I'm assuming because he ran out. And this stuff's pretty dusty. You kind of want to stand away from that. So each one of these cows will get a separate ration. I've been dealing with these cows for long enough now to where I've kind of got it figured out how much they get. It's basically just figuring out how much they're being, or how much milk they're producing, and that's basically how much we're giving them feed. So the more milk they produce, the more feed we give them. The less milk they produce, the less feed we give them. Then you'll see the calves over here will also get a decent amount of grain and some protein. You can see all the cows get pretty excited when it's feeding time. They know it's coming. Protein is fed, so now I'll come over here. There's also some of this feed that we give this group of calves. Not exactly sure everything that's in it. I know there's some rolled corn you can kind of see, and then basically just other kinds of grain in there, I'm assuming. And then we're on to feeding hay. So as I walk by, I'll open all the chutes. Now feeding hay, we do to these cows, it's kind of once a day, but also kind of twice a day. So in the mornings, I believe he usually feeds a large round bale outside. And then in the afternoons, we'll feed, it's about 1.5 small square bales per side, so about 3 bales every night. So you can see I just tie the string up. There's 4 chutes total, 2 on each side, because above us we have our hay mow and it is full of hay, so that's where most of our hay storage is. Now, we don't have to throw hay every day. It's more like every 3 or 4 days, depending on how much hay we throw down. But we'll stack a few bales along the wall here. That way we don't have to climb up and throw down hay every single day. So this is our hay mow. And pretty much all summer, we are working on filling this so that we have feed for all winter. The main reason dairy farmers are working so hard during the summer, especially, is so we get to have it easy during winter, pretty much. But obviously, with it being winter, there might be snow on the ground. We can't exactly get feed. We can't put the cows out in pasture because there's no grass growing, which also means we can't grow hay. So that's why we got to make hay like this, put it in storage so we have feed for over the winter. You can also see up here, no, it's kind of hard to tell because it's kind of dark, but we also have the straw up here. So this is where we also come up every day, throw down a few bales of straw down in that center chute you can see there. And that's the bedding for the cows. All right, so now I'll stack all the hay over in this corner here. And same on the other side too. All right, so both sides of the barn have been fed for hay, fed for grain and protein. So that is pretty much it. That is everything that I do for the afternoon chores on the dairy. So I hope I answered a lot of your guys' questions about what farmers do in the winter. So shut all the gates here, turn everything off. So I'm probably gonna end the video here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you got any more questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.